And so all these cameras are working at the same time.
So it's Brett, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to film this because this way I can share what you're saying to other folks without having to try and
Sure.
replicate what you're saying. So if you could describe this.
Yeah, so what you see
perfect.
here is what's called steel case, so that they provide the furniture and the connectivity to the two TVs. Now a typical teal classroom would just have the furniture and the TVs. And what this allows is for a student to come in with what are called pucks, and they would be able to hook their laptop up to this puck and display on one of the monitors so they could work in a group environment. They could also then share on one of the big TVs up front, and then not only share with their group, but also share with the entire class. And the faculty member has that same technology right here at the faculty podium, where they can come with a laptop, hook up their laptop, project onto the main screen, and also project onto each individual TV at each pod. So the idea would be if a professor wants to have their lecture notes up on the screen while they're lecturing, the student can then follow along right in front of them on their pod at the TV. Now the step that we've taken to go further is to add each camera on each one of these pods. So what that allows is it allows video on a pod by pod basis, who could then connect to an outside third party. Say if a student was sick, or if a student had a sick child and they couldn't make it to class, we could bring them in virtually and they could participate not only in the class as a whole, but with their pod or their group as well.
And then what sort of device would they need to do that?
Cisco's pretty good at being an open standard. We've tested it on laptops, Apple laptops, iPads, any device that can run WebEx, which is just about anything that's mainstream has the ability to join a WebEx call.
So that'd be something with a camera on the device,
correct,
like an iPad would have.
Yep. And then because we have it hooked up into our external telepresence system, we can then bring third-party people from outside the university, such as the professor from Ithaca that did a guest lecture in here. And
describe the process to make that work.
So everything that you see in the call is all automated. So like I mentioned, at 12:10, everything fired up. Each camera called into our telepresent unit. The call was established. And if we were to bring in a third-party student or faculty member, we would also add WebEx connectivity to that call, and they would be emailed a link to join our call. So it's really easy for the student, really easy for the faculty member. They would click the link, fire up the application, and join their pod or join the class as a whole. When it comes to the faculty member, we'd have to do a little bit of upfront work getting our video conferencing units talking to each other, because with them we don't want them just to be part of the WebEx, we want them to be part of a video call where they would have a little better quality. Maybe they want to share a presentation or a PowerPoint, so we would do a little testing in advance, get the two of us talking, and then we would just integrate them right into the call.
So let's go back to the student who is accessing this from their iPad remotely. Describe the level of interactivity that student would be able to have with the rest of this class here at MSU Billings.
Okay, so we haven't officially rolled that out for TL 1.0. We had just done local connectivity. What we'd like to do here over the summer is to actually bring in somebody remotely via WebEx. So they would be able to interact between their pod and or the professor, because not only do we have microphones at each pod, we have 3 microphones in the ceiling that picks up the faculty member. So they would get the email to connect to their WebEx, and it would be just like any other video call you would be on. You would hear audio, you'd be able to speak into your microphone to provide audio for the class, and then the interaction would be based on, do you want it on a pod level, or do you want to interact with the main system?
Okay, so you could do it either way. Okay. How many individuals could you bring in remotely at a single time?
We have what's called 44 ports on our video system, so each call takes 1 port.
Okay.
So to get this room up and running, that's 9.
Okay.
So we have 35 additional to play with. as long as nobody else is using the video system at that
Okay.
time. So even say there are 5 video conferences going on throughout the campus, that still leaves us 30
Okay.
available units to bring in.
So how many people, how many seats are in this room?
48,
So you could have 48 people in here, but if you wanted to, you could have, did you say another 34?
35.
35
Yep.
external folks, and they
Correct.
could be anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world, yep.
Okay,
Or even down the street with the sick kid.
exactly,
So that's the
which is
idea.
really cool.
Could those nodes also be networked like you have here, so that that node could branch out to 8 or 10 different nodes if that capacity was?
They would not. They'd need to call our main system and be part of
Okay.
that call. So
Okay.
that they don't become a hub.
Yeah.
They are an endpoint to our hub.
Okay,
And then what are these white things that are around the
Yeah,
room?
so these are part of the steel case furniture as well. This is, they're just whiteboards.
Oh,
So if a group is
okay.
collaborating, they can go up, grab a
Okay.
whiteboard,
So
write
they're
on
portable.
so it's
Yep.
old fashioned,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple there. We actually have some
Okay.
stationed around the wall as well. And that is just another, not as modern way to collaborate, but still useful that some students find. Kind of the crown jewel of the technology are these 2 cameras we have up in front here, which is called Speaker Track, and they will actually follow the active speaker. So if I were to stand over here and we had that fired up, it would zoom in on me if I had my display up on front, but if John started talking, it would recognize
would
he was
move.
talking, and it would zoom in on his face.
Does it physically turn, or?
It does.
Okay,
Let's see if I can get that fired up.
it's really
This is an
neat.
amazing room.
It is incredible. How long have you had this up and going?
Just before the start of last semester, so we were kind of scrambling to finish it before we could get classes going.
And we have 4 classes going on in here?
5, I
5
believe. Yep.
this semester?
What types of classes?
You know, we kind of did a gambit to do a little experimenting.
Okay.
We tried to pick faculty who were technology friendly, but would also be friendly if things didn't quite work well
Okay.
right off the bat. So we have a literature class in here, which did the Ithaca integration. We have a science class, a large accounting class. I think there are 36 to 39 students in here, which really fills the room up quite well. And speaking of them, we came in one time to give a tour, and it was about 15 minutes after class had finished, and there were probably still 20 students in here working, just because they enjoyed it.
Wow.
They had their spreadsheets up on the screens, they were still collaborating and working, and the professor would stick around for 20 additional minutes while the students kept working.
Wow.
It's interesting to think about some of the ideas that we talked about the other day, like the accounting tech type of thing, because if you had an instructor doing a spreadsheet thing, here you could have 35 students elsewhere around the state in that same classroom at the same time. Right?
And something, yep, exactly right, we're working on for 2.0 is we'd like the professor to put the correct answer on the right screen, and we'd like the student to put their attempt on the left. So then they could work through the problem to see where they may have made a mistake, or yes, you indeed followed the correct path to get to the answer. So that's something we're working on at the moment. Typically, the left, you'll see the professor lecturing. We'll have the front camera or our rear-facing camera on them, and then the right screen will be their laptop that they share from the podium or a student who has projected up there. So we're working on getting 2 projections at one time, which will allow that side-by-side analysis to occur in real time with the student.
It's great.
Amazing.
So the feedback we've got from faculty and students is that it's been really excellent. We had our e-learning director, Sue, in here that first day just to kind of observe. And she does really funny facial expressions of what the students did when they first walked into the room. It was a lot of dropped jaws and students pulling out their cell phone and taking pictures and just being really excited that this is something that you don't see at a lot of places. And we want to meet the student where they are, and that's with technology and video, and working together as a team is what we'd like to encourage. And so far the feedback has been really, really good, which has led to our desire to talk about
Yeah.
another 2 of these rooms, potentially one at College of Business and City College as well.
Thank you.
No problem.